Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack for Business podcast. Over 400 episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
From an audience perspective, why isn't your messaging attracting the right clients, even though you know you're great at what you do? That's exactly what Esther will unpack today. She'll reveal how clarity, confidence, and consistency in your brand message can turn confusion into connection, especially in a world flooded with AI-generated content. You'll learn why real human messaging still wins, how to refine your words so the right clients say yes, and what simple shifts can make your business stand out for all the right reasons. Our guest today is Esta Singer from S.H.E Consulting. She's back for her third time here at Knack for Business, and she's simply known as E to her closest friends, and is the force behind messaging strategy, where she helps small and medium-sized businesses stand out with clarity, confidence, and consistency. A recognized voice in branding, Esta has earned nods from the Digital Marketing World Forum, Forbes influencers, and even landed on Twitter's top 75 badass women list. Whether it's crafting magnetic brand voices or helping entrepreneurs connect with their ideal clients, her knack for communication is what makes her truly shine. As Rose Couture de Sarro puts it, Esther has a natural knack for pulling out what you're trying to communicate and does it with seamless ease. And oh yes, she is a proud Star Wars geek, and her cat Padme totally approves. Esther, a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having you back here again. Great to see you. Great to hear you. What's your favorite quote or saying?
My favorite quote or saying?
Yeah, your quote, not mine. Don't pick mine. Mine's already mine.
Can I pick Yoda?
Yes. You can pick whoever you like.
There's do or do not. There is no try. I am such a believer when people say, I don't know, I'll try it. No, you make a decision, you stay focused, you do it. There's no try. If you put that force behind it and that belief behind it and the trust behind it, you make it happen.
But can you launch a jet fighter with your mind?
I believe, honestly, and I've used that force. If you believe in that, the whole Jedi philosophy is based in Buddhism. So if you actually believe in the force, which I do, there's nothing that's not moving energy. My voice, my breath, my hands, everything is moving and changing the energy between us. So I do believe in that. And I think there's a lot of learning and messages within the whole series, mostly between the first 3 episodes, which is 4, 5, and 6, technically. But when Disney took it, it went a little sideways. But if you pay attention now, after hearing that, you'll see that there's learning experiences. So yeah, I love that. And I love Yoda. So why not?
So what have you been focusing on lately with your client base? We've chatted over the years on several different occasions. What's happening in your space right now?
So 2 years ago, I was primarily focusing on clients getting clear on what they offer in a concise way so it expresses their value and people are connecting with that, and their words, and they use them for their website and their logo and their pillars, and they understand what all that means. I normally work with leadership. We go through a deep discovery, and these are the things we find out. What's my purpose? What's my mission? And we go through a complete series. But it doesn't necessarily mean that their organization or company is embodying what those words mean. They know how to put them out there now, so people understand they can communicate, but I'm meeting them on the street now. Are you able to speak those words? Are you able to express it in a way that I'm understanding and I'm connecting with you? A long time ago, I was speaking to a nonprofit and they said, well, my social media person's putting out one thing and my email marketing person's putting out another thing, and nobody's on the same page.
Yep.
I'm working with them now to embody. I think you conduct yourself differently and you speak differently when you're understanding with one of the nonprofits. Our vision is quality of life for all. And now I'm walking around with that present-minded, the best social services delivered by exceptional people. That's what, we're about. So everybody now on the same page, and it means the board members who are making decisions. It's not only the people that are working for the organization. So now I need to embody what I'm saying or putting out there. It's easy to put our tagline out there. It's easy to put our mission out there, but are we able to speak it? Are we able to embody it? So a way that people are connecting with us. That I would say is a lot of what I am incorporating into working with clients. If you don't have that clarity without embodying what you're saying, it's just on paper.
It sounds like most of my math courses.
1 plus 1 is 9. I'm not a math girl.
When a client comes to you and said, I don't think this is resonating, and you look at their stuff and you realize it's because it's a word salad. Every word is a good word, but they're just jumbled. It's a mess. And they're invested in this mess. How do you navigate those landmines?
So I work with them around their messaging. I always say to people, I'm not here to tell you what is right or sounds right. I ask the right questions. The message is in you. What you want to say is in you. I ask the right questions and we refine it and we collaborate on that. So that's what I do. How are we going to say this? What are the questions I'm going to ask to give them that jump in their seat where they say, that's what I wanted to say. That's how I want to connect with my audience. They think they're saying one thing. I had a client who is a senior level executive at FEMA. She's from Burkina Faso in South Africa, which is a third world country. She wanted to build a nonprofit here. She was referred to me and sent me her business plan, and very intelligent woman. I had no idea what she was trying to do. So I thought she wanted to bring people to the country from Burkina Faso, give them skills in a center. She wanted to build a center and, give them new opportunity. Through all of our messaging, it turned out that she wanted to work with people who are already here. They're from, and it's a young, specific young adult group. So I went from thinking everybody bring them here to specific group, a center to teach them skills so they can get back to the community. So, in her mind, that plan made complete sense. It was very clear, but she wasn't thinking about people who weren't her. The messaging wasn't going to her own community. I said, you need money to build a center and buy-in from politicians. That's where your messaging is going. Your people already know you, right? So this is where everything shifted. She thought she was being very clear on what she wanted to do, right? And sometimes maybe you try and speak your message to someone to explain what you're doing, see if they understand. Or if they're looking over your shoulder saying, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Who can I talk to next, right? Sometimes you're at a conference and you meet somebody and people say, well, what do you do? I said, I get people to stop looking over your shoulder to listen to what you have to say, because we've all done it. Like, oh my gosh, who else in the room is just more interesting to speak to? So I help them figure out what their own voice is. Not my voice, it's your voice.
I've heard two answers to the same question that in some ways are probably both right. One is I use ChatGPT to get clarity so that I'm understanding what I'm speaking better. The other one is I hate ChatGPT because everything's vanilla and it's beige and it ain't me and it has no nuance. I hate it. Both of those, truth in both. Where's your take on AI and how it works into authenticity?
So AI clearly does not have emotion. It doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know the heart of your brand. It can't tell you the heart of your brand because AI, is, like an LLM. It's learning from other spaces, right? It's learning, it's a learning language model. It's pulling information from everywhere. It doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know your purpose. Why do you exist? It doesn't know what your mission is. You could say, I sell the best ice cream on the planet. Can you make me a tagline? How are you going to connect with your audience? What's going to make them buy that ice cream? We have 5 ice cream places here along the shore within walking distance. Why am I going to one or the other? How am I connecting? So AI can be there. You need to use it as a tool. It doesn't understand your voice. It doesn't understand your heart. The purpose of your brand is to connect heart to heart, value to value, right? It could give you words, it's not going to connect. It's not going to connect with your audience. once you do find that voice, we work together and we're going through your mission and your values and your purpose, you know, how you speak. I read an article and I thought this was really interesting. Even though it's a bot, it's an AI, I always say please. And there was an article that said, well, if you say please, does that make a difference? And it does make a difference because it's learning about your style and it's learning about you and my etiquette. It's learning, it's understanding, it's still learning, right? It's a learning language model. So it does make a difference instead of just saying boom, boom, boom. So you have to learn. We work together. We understand you're the voice of your brand. And that's how you have to work with the AI. Once you understand all of that, that's how you're going to learn. And the AI isn't going to build the trust. You have to build the trust. And the AI isn't going to engage. You have to engage. AI can give you great ideas, but it's not who you are. You have to learn who you are. You have to learn who your brand is. You have to understand how to speak about why you're there, what your purpose is, what your mission is. Because AI doesn't know that. ChatGPT does not know that. You know?
Unless, of course, you tell it ahead of time. This is who you are because you're giving me
Right,
advice.
exactly.
And this is where I am. And this is the flavor I want to see. I want the strawberry ice cream flavor as opposed to vanilla.
And you tell it like certain things like that, it'll learn. But why do I love chocolate? When I was little, my dad gave me my first ice cream cone, and my ice cream cone was chocolate. Maybe that's what, maybe it has nothing to do with the taste. Maybe it has 100% to do with the memory.
The one thing I find when I use AI, I'll have a script in my head. This is how I want to talk or mention something. And I'll flip it back to the AI and I'll say, listen, make it more clear, casual tone. So I know my essence is getting in there and then I'm looking at the result. And I also know the other important thing is whatever you get back, it's not gospel. You can actually, that word makes a difference.
Exactly.
So you can't, it's like leaving the toddler alone in the kitchen. Yeah, a little bit of entertainment, but not 100%.
Right.
So that talks about just the content, though, of written content or preparing a speech, etc. Do you find that AI helps in the visual side at all?
I do. I definitely do. So there is, and it was in beta when I met the CEO, called Augie. Okay. And what they do is text to video, right? So I worked with this nonprofit. We came with their value proposition. I took their value proposition, plopped it into their platform. It populated with relevant images. I had the word Holocaust survivor in there, and they had an elderly person sitting on a sofa. We did food insecurity. Every single image they populated with. And then I picked a voice, like what voice sounds, resonates with me. I picked a voice and it spoke the whole value proposition. And as it was speaking, it was turning out the relevant images. That could have taken hours or a couple of weeks. And I did it in 1 hour. With that particular platform, that was beautiful. I use Canva a lot. I put in keywords. Canva will populate, a slideshow. I'm like, oh my God. Like they use the AI, they use, whatever keywords or feelings that you're putting in, boom, the whole slide deck. Boom, 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 boom. The first time I did it, my eyes almost came out of my head. I'm like, wow. I could do graphic design. I design logos. If you're doing something where you need to pull images like the video I did for this nonprofit or a slide share, that's where it becomes fantastic because you can spend hours looking for the right photo if I'm designing a website. I use multiple platforms. I use Pixabay and Pexels and Unsplash, and you could get lost in it.
You just show you're old.
I know. No, I'm young. I just read about it like in the history books. I just read.
She's well read, Wayne.
Well read. Yes. You got to keep up with it. It's just everything is just moving so fast. You have to keep up.
Thing that I hear a lot is authenticity, and I think it's incredibly important. And I'm so glad it's on message. Then why did HR call me every single week? What is the fine line between those two poles? You want to be authentic.
Right.
You're
Well,
going
look,
to
you don't
be-
want to offend. You want to be yourself. You want it to have your own voice. If you're working for a corporation, you want to know their rules. I know people who work in the finance field, they're very careful about what they put on and what they share. It doesn't have to be money, it could be politics, anything. They're very PC about what they're putting out there. I think you need to understand where the line is with you and your company. I think you just need to understand that part and not blow up your stream or burn bridges. It's all about connection, right? You could say if this is not connecting with somebody, if this isn't relevant to my audience, that if you're even having an inkling of a feeling like this might not be right or my company may not like this, even if it's like a millisecond, it's done. Just go on to the next thing. Yeah.
This kind of brings around to the title of the podcast. The robot can't read the room.
Right.
And yet at the same time, though, if like we're face-to-face communication, whether over Zoom or in person, we're picking up all kinds of nuances. Is it resonating? Is it working? Wayne probably says certain things and he realizes there's a reaction, whether intended or not. Same for myself. Sometimes I'll say something and my kids look at me going, Dad, right? I get it. But at the end of the day, there are platforms that listen to the recording and gauge your tempo, your gait, whether you're happy or like, we've seen that come out. And then you have survey says. And so there are platforms out there that do CRM. They'll monitor what's happening on social media and gauge the sentiment. Do you leverage AI for that element and then kind of bring it back so that you have harmony between your brand and your customer's client base?
Well, you need to stay true to who you are. I know why I exist. I know what I'm here to do every single day. And I know what my greater vision is. Anything outside of that will fall into place because you're keeping AI in line. You already have your pillars. They might suggest ABCD. We decided working for many hours, this is your wheelhouse. These are your pillars. This is what's going to keep your brand standing up straight. This is what's going to help people feel like they belong to your brand. They feel connected to your brand. AI can't do that. They can give you a bunch of ideas. They might, say, well, based on ABCD, you should talk about this. But if it's not aligned with the heart of why you're existing, it doesn't matter. You can put the information out there, but then you're not in alignment with your audience and their expectations. And that goes back to your consistency. So you might say, well, I need fresh information. And AI can't give you the fresh information because it's not coming from your voice and your heart. My whole brand is based on clarity, confidence, and consistency, right? And just for fun, a couple of years ago, I said, give me a course on clarity, confidence, and consistency. Give me 3 titles, 3 subtitles, and 5 talking points. Like in that way, boom, 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 you could do something like that. It goes back to your purpose. What are you trying to convey? It was a good exercise, but I'm not asking them to put out content for me. You can't forget about the engagement. Connection isn't harder. It's more earned. You're earning the connection, right? You're engaging. You're saying, okay, people are now looking at your values. They're not looking at a billboard as you're driving down the New Jersey Turnpike that says we sell the best burgers. Now they're looking for engagement. It has to be people-driven, not word-driven. We could find a lot of words from ChatGPT. ChatGPT doesn't have a heart. It doesn't have a soul. It doesn't have a rhythm. It doesn't have voice intonations. It doesn't have you. It's like that aha moment. ChatGPT may not even use aha moment. I like using aha moment because when I work with my clients, I literally get a jump in the seat. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. That's it. That's it. ChatGPT can't do that.
Yeah. So I guess the AI construct is more like a prosthetic. The prosthetic does not make the person. It just.
That's a good analogy.
Clarity in life coaching, the opposite of clarity is noise. I would say never has our public media, social and otherwise, been noisier. How do you help owner-operators deal with blind spots? And what would you say the current blind spots are?
Well, I definitely think that it goes back again. I'm never going to walk away from relationship building and making connections and never walking away from the heart of your brand. So your audience might evolve or change, your company might evolve or change, but your purpose is not going to change and your mission is not going to change. people are going to make their connections with you based on values. What are your values? That's my value. That's your value. They're not going to budge from that. So there are two computers. They offer the same thing. They both look great, but this person cares about a philanthropic component to their company. That's important to me. I'm going to buy that computer. They both have the most perfect whatever, but you cut through the noise by being clear. People want to feel like they belong. They don't want a canned, flat tone, right? Something like ChatGPT is going to say, we understand this is a difficult time for you. But if you're saying it your way, we know going back to school is really scary. ChatGPT is going to use generic, and that's how you're going to know people or companies are using ChatGPT or they're using AI, because whatever they're putting out is canned and generic. We offer the best, boom, right? Are you struggling with clarity, confidence, and consistency, explaining your value? It's not about me. It's about you. Why are you here? Why did you visit my website? It's not about saying we do the best and we do it. This is the way we do it. It's about, am I connecting with you? Is this what you value? Because then I have you, right? And then we connect. And then we have fun building our messaging, and it is fun. It's all about them. Nothing about it is about me. And AI will never have a soul. You're always going to have a soul. And that's what people are going to connect with. They want to feel like they're belonging to something a little bigger than them, and they want to feel like they can connect with it. Of course, they want the best, but if you don't have that, it's not going to matter. You know, you have to define human first. Clarity is the problem. You have to be clear. People are quick. The information is going quick. What's going to catch their eye? What's going to be important to them? You can't be robotic. So,
Speaking about chatbots, I mean, both voice-based and web-based. Sometimes I think they fill a need. Like, I just want a quick answer, yes or no, or something, right?
okay, go ahead.
However, do you foresee, and then there's voice activated ones, right? You're talking and you might not get the gist that you're talking to a thing as opposed to a person. Do you find that the upcoming to share your brand, to share your style, that these elements will be imbued with, and you do a full disclosure to the person reaching out, saying, listen, this is not man, this is an automated system. But at the same time carries your style, your culture in the answering and questions, like the banter back and forth.
Right.
And, if it gets to a point where, there should be a cutoff point, yeah, you should be talking to a real person, to get that last leg of it. Do you help design that space, or do you see that being a next construct coming up where, whether it's a voice or a chat, it goes to a certain point, it emulates as much as possible of the business, and then there's a demarc point where it goes, let's talk to somebody. You see that happening?
I do, because AI is something that you train. And we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, where I said that I say please when I'm working with AI. And, and it's the way I speak. So if you're training your chat box to, to speak the way you speak and to be engaging and to be, PC and etiquette and please and thank you. And you also have to know, well, who's visiting my website and what do they care about hearing? If you do your own due diligence and you're programming that chat box and the chat box is learning from you, then you're ready to implement the chat box. AI will get us there like 70%, 30% that's you. So, it can answer basic questions and you get to the point. And I think it's just, if it gets to the point where, you know what, I love what you're asking, we need to go grab a live person. But I would make the chat box, I would be programming it as authentically as possible in my own voice. If I'm casual and I'm like, cool, like I'll talk like that. I want my chat box to talk like that, and it also goes back to who's visiting my website, but it has to feel like it's your voice, not like, because I personally don't like chat boxes. Like, I always say agent. I don't know. I'm just like agent. Well, agent. because they're very canned questions. And sometimes I can't even answer what they're asking me. So I'll just say agent. But if, look, it's growing every day. But now it's, we know that they're learning. And if you do have a chat box and you can teach it, this is what I wanted to say. This is my tone of voice. Is it funny? Is it light? Is it asking technical questions? If it is, can I add a lightness to that? How am I connecting with the person I'm chatting with, even though I'm a bot? Sometimes if you're talking to a bot, they're so, they could be, feel more real, like a person, So yeah, you don't want to be too robotic. People get robotic. They understand right away. We all understand right away we're talking to a bot, even though they might portray it as, this is Jane. And Jane will, and they think they can fake you out, or I don't know what they think, but it's all AI. And you can tell. People can tell. There's no nuance. There's no excitement. There's no heart. There's no anything. There's just flatness. There's questions and there's answers. So it sounds empty. It's polished, but it's empty. Yeah.
Something that interests me is in business communications right now, the big word's pivot, 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 pivot,
Right.
pivot. How do people maintain their authenticity when their company is changing that dramatically? And how do you keep the audience engaged when the story looks so totally different?
So you can go, so you always want to be aligned with why, right? Why am I here? Why do I exist? And we talked about this earlier. You can pivot, right? You can add new product. Your company can grow. As a CEO, as the founder, your purpose and your reason for being hasn't changed. Your why hasn't changed, right? So if your audience has changed, or if you're shifting product, development, your values haven't changed, the reason that you're giving back or you're existing hasn't changed. So now you can alter your messaging. So we're not changing your mission. We're not changing your values. Your pillars might change. What are we going to, focus on? What are our messaging pillars? What's our value proposition? That could change, right? Depending on, what it is you're offering. And that's how you grow. But you as a person, what you care about, why you're here, why you built a company, hasn't changed. So your vision or your mission or your purpose stays constant. Your value proposition might change, your values, your pillars might change. And then you pivot, you adjust a little bit. You look at your buyer personas. It's like, okay, we were selling to these people. Now we want to add these people. Or now our product has become maybe a little obsolete. There's a lot of new products out there. We need to, level up. And now our product needs to also do this. It was only doing this. Now it needs to do that. It doesn't mean the heart of what I'm trying to do is change. It means the technology or the product development. Something's changed that's going to make a new audience want that product. Now, how do we get to them? And that goes all the way back to your buyer personas. And that goes back to your messaging pillars. And it could even be the tagline can alter. It's just the heart of what you're doing, your vision, your mission, your purpose, stay. They're not moving. Your values are not moving. The other stuff, you could pivot a little bit. We added a new technology. We leveled up on something. But you have to about meeting them where they are. But you can pivot. More likely than not, if you have a brand that people feel connected with, they're going to share it. Oh my God, so-and-so just added on this. They didn't have it before. Now, let's, take a look at them. They've always been good to me. They've given me refunds when I need refunds. They don't think twice. So it's always going back to your why. You can pivot. A couple things change. Your value prop might change. The heart of who you are and your brand's not changing.
So if this resonates, is there a book or a podcast that you either put out or recommend so people can dive in a little deeper? And if not, how do we reach you to book you?
Reach me to book me, Esta, E-S-T-A, at S.H.E Consulting. Trivia, which I know I've said it before, S.H.E are my initials reversed. So it just made sense because I'm a she and I do consulting. So that's how you would reach me. It'd be S.H.E consulting.com. Hop on my website, schedule an appointment. Happy to sit down for a few minutes, take a look at what you're doing, and have a conversation.
I want to say thank you to Esta Singer, my co-host Wayne Pratt, and you, the Knack for Business listeners. Esta is a practiced marketing person, everything from the logo design to the persona, so it fits hand in glove. It's not off the rack, it's handmade. It's meant to fit you. That's the key piece to remember. She's taken any of the confusion into connection, and she's helping your brand speak with purpose and heart. And what's going to make you in this world of noise. So that's kind of the key pieces. She is going to help you build your trust, your brand trust with your client.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATIVINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motivateyou.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter U.ca, or his website, motivateyou.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we'd like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner. And Wayne Pratt from Motivate You Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer. Please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.